There is a thin line between poverty and success, and it is perseverance. Successful people don't stop until they see the result they desire. Civilization is only possible for deeply unpleasant animals. It is only an ape that can be truly civilized. Once you make it to your point of making it, you'll appreciate the struggle. Loneliness and the feeling of being unwanted is the most terrible poverty. It is amazing how complete is the delusion that beauty is goodness. I feel like a big faker because I've been putting my life back together, and nobody knows. Better to get hurt by the truth than comforted with a lie. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'll be happy if running and I can grow old together. It is much harder to lie to someone's face. But it is also much harder to tell the truth to someone's face. The flower that blooms in adversity is the rarest and most beautiful of all. Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of the lifelong attempt to acquire it. Molecules dissolve and pass away, but consciousness survives the death of the matter on which it rides. When I stopped to take a breath, I noticed I had wings. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Instinct is a makeshift, an admission of helplessness before the problem of reality. Be sure what you want, and be sure about yourself. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. There is no greatness where there is not simplicity, goodness, and truth. Now and then it's good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. I don't want to do anything. I don't even want to start this day because then I'll just be expected to finish it. Become braver, stronger, wiser, kinder, and you will become better. Sometimes when hardships knock, it's just life. Do not take it personal. The joy in life is who has the heart to demand it. A promise made is a debt unpaid, the cremation of Sam McGee. If you want to know a person's true character, observe how he treats those who don't matter. Unless you realize your true self as the divine, your life is meaningless. Every flower is a melody that floats through the air and soothes our hearts. Don't give up at halftime. Concentrate on winning the second half. No power on earth, if it labors beneath the burden of fear, can possibly be strong enough to survive. Being liked for the way you looked is worse than not being liked at all. A bridge of silver wings stretches from the dead ashes of an unforgiving night. Marito, the jeweled vision of a life started anew. Don't spend time beating on a wall, hoping to transform it into a door. It's impossible to walk through solid rock. You have to walk between the molecules that make up the rock. What we can change is our perceptions, which have the effect of changing everything. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is reluctance. It is difficult to make the right choice if you fear choosing wrongly. Life is funny. Things change, people change, but you will always be you. So stay true to yourself and never sacrifice who you are for anyone. The world's greatest achievers have been those who have always stayed focused on their goals and have been consistent in their efforts. A point of view can be a dangerous luxury when substituted for insight and understanding. The world needs your unique path. Chart it fearlessly. When faith in our freedom gives way to fear of our freedom, silencing the minority view becomes the operative protocol. Sometimes the best of God's gifts arrive by the shattering of all the window panes. More people would learn from their mistakes if they weren't so busy denying them. Pessimistic Tidak lebi daripada sikap tak bermindahaluinazin. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. Don't be afraid of the shadows, that only means there's a light nearby. When you're too tired and feel like giving up on life, sit down and ponder over the journey of water. Fight for what you believe in, for if you don't, you will be forever fighting against yourself. When we are tired, we are attacked by ideas we conquered long ago. Success does not consist in never making blunders, but in never making the same one a second time. The world changes, we do not. Therein lies the irony that kills us. Kananji yang lalo, hadapi yang baru dangan penikeziakarin. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. Truth is not something outside to be discovered, it is something inside to be realized. In the end, it will all work out okay. The end isn't final if we're not okay with it. Doing what I like to do, the way I like to do it, makes me happy. I have made a ceaseless effort not to ridicule, not to bewail, not to scorn human actions, but to understand them. Hard work is only a prison sentence when you lack motivation. The truth is the kindest thing we can give folks in the end. Dining with the king, your attire, attitude, and mentality must change. Sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. You can be that generation. Time is heavy sometimes. Imagine how heavy eternity must be. I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live up to what light I have. War is not just the shower of bullets and bombs from both sides, it is also the shower of blood and bones on both sides. Sometimes it takes many attempts to succeed, but it takes a second to lose them all. Always plan well. Sometimes you just have those days where everything goes wrong. But sometimes, and totally unexpectedly, something can go right. I'm a success today because I had a friend who believed in me and I didn't have the heart to let him down. Before I can tell my life what I want to do with it, I must listen to my life telling me who I am. You can't just plan a moment when things get back on track, just as you can't plan the moment you lose your way in the first place. When you connect to the silence within you, that is when you can make sense of the disturbance going on around you. The worst part about being lied to is knowing you weren't worth the truth. A man's concern, even his despair, over the worthwhileness of life is an existential distress, but by no means a mental disease. I don't LOL. I tried it once, but it just didn't agree with me. A thing is not necessarily true because a man dies for it. If it can be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth. People aren't born good or bad. Maybe they're born with tendencies either way, but it's the way you live your life that matters. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Darkness ages faster than you'd think. It doesn't loiter on forever. You can recognize a small truth because its opposite is a falsehood. The opposite of a great truth is another truth. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Envy, after all, comes from wanting something that isn't yours, but grief comes from losing something you've already had. Irrational expectations are at the root of most human suffering. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. Please go for your dreams. Whatever your ideals, you can become whatever you want to become. I encounter one example after another of how relative truth is. Watch for the thing that will show itself to you, because that thing, when you find it, will be your future. Search of truth is actually a search of strength to handle the truth. Nu pot fi eu and sumi decat dakama and alt pana la fury, saukober pana la deskurager, la nibble meuo bisnuit, ignore faptal ca exist. Life is not complex. We are complex. Life is simple, and the simple thing is the right thing. Find the things that matter, and hold on to them, and fight for them, and refuse to let them go. One way of looking at speech is to say that it is a constant stratagem to cover nakedness. The soul should always stand ajar, ready to welcome the ecstatic experience. But instead of spending our lives running towards our dreams, we are often running away from a fear of failure or a fear of criticism. Language always betrays us, tells the truth when we want to lie, and dissolves into formlessness when we would most like to be precise. There's nothing wrong with you. There's a lot wrong with the world you live in. And definitely get out of high school and make everyone sorry. Sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones that change us the most. In order to move on, you must understand why you felt what you did and why you no longer need to feel it. It takes a huge effort to free yourself from memory. We are supposed to call poison medicine, and we wonder why we're always sick.